I am getting ready to give you all sorts of interesting updates on what's happening in immigration. And like I said, just give me just a second to get our PowerPoint going. For some reason, it's giving me a hard time. There we go. Let's start the slideshow. Wonderful. So today we're going to look at pathways to permanent residence, updates, and strategies. So shall we get started? Lots of exciting stuff on the horizon. So first, as I always say, there are different ways to connect with us. I always like connecting with you guys. And I know I forgot to share my video. There we go. There I am. So I love connecting with all of you. And you can connect with me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, or Telegram. We'll tell you a little bit about Telegram if you haven't joined us on Telegram. And if you've ever missed any of our videos on YouTube, you can check them out by subscribing to our YouTube channel. A lot of people have found a lot of this information very helpful. And, you know, if there's anything in particular you want us to cover, please let us know and we'd be happy to do it. If you subscribe, you will be informed when any new video is uploaded. And so that's the nice thing about subscribing. So please subscribe if you find them helpful, and make sure you share it with your friends. So today, we're going to cover some of the geographical travel restrictions due to COVID and national interest exceptions, the DOS consular operations, and yay, the H-4L2 biometrics that has been suspended for some time, which will hopefully hasten the issuance of EADs, and new deference guidance to replace the Trump era policies. And the information on F1 students being allowed to travel into the United States. So shall we go? Travel restrictions, considerations. You've got travel bans. You've got, depending upon the country, there's all sorts of consular operations that, you know, are restricted. And it depends on the incidence of COVID, and it's treated differently throughout different places. So we have everything from, let me see. Yes, we have everything from do not travel guidance to what is aligned with the CDC guidance. And the do not travel is extended to approximately 80% of countries worldwide. And as you can see by the map, red means do not travel. So it's pretty much everywhere. And that's particularly difficult. And there are other areas, very few, that exercise caution, reconsider travel, and exercise normal precautions. I don't even see that anywhere. There must be very small dots on the map, but you can see that the travel advisory levels and what is set forth because of COVID. And there's some countries where the COVID level is unknown. And so, you know, you really can't tell how difficult, I mean, how difficult it would be to go to those countries. But as you can see, Mexico, Canada, and India are under the level 4, where COVID-19 is very high. So that's one issue. right? That's the whole can't travel because of the pandemic issue. And if you remember, some of the older travel bans that were put in place, the non-immigrant and visa bans were allowed to expire. And so, but the consular post, because they haven't been processing for almost a year, is pretty much, you know, just A, there are limited operations, and B, the tremendous backlog just makes it really difficult to get appointments. The Muslim ban, as they had stated, is no longer in effect, and the backlog at the consulates is due to a case-by-case eligibility of waivers. The proposed No Ban Act in Congress would limit the president's authority to restrict foreign nationals from entering the United States, but we have to see how that progresses. And I will take questions at the end, so if you can post your questions, and we may do that just a little bit differently today, is at the end, if you raise your hand, what I will do is, you can come on the video and we'll talk, we'll let the video come open, and you can ask your question live. And so, but we'll do that after we talk through some of the restrictions. Geographical restrictions are in place, of course, for the Schengen area, UK, Ireland, Brazil, China, and Iran, South Africa, and recently expanded to India, especially given the high incidence of the COVID outbreak there. That's no surprise. And so it doesn't apply to permanent residents or US citizens and immediate relatives, which is great for anyone looking to sponsor their family. There are lawsuits pending due to the consulate's unwillingness to issue visas, so we'll have to see how that plays out. But the complaint argues that it's an unlawful suspension of visa processing, and the people who, the countries where there's a ban should be allowed to enter if they're able to quarantine outside for a 14-day period, which makes sense, right? But we'll have to see how that plays out. But in the interim, there is a national interest exception. What falls under the national interest exception? Pilots and aircrew. And then you have certain exchange visitors, which are like the J1s, you know, are the exchange visitors. As I said, immediate family, it does not apply to immediate family. And so they are able to continue with that. And then fiancé visas, vital support for critical infrastructure sectors. And, you know, we talked about that they have a list of what that entails: journalists, humanitarian travel, public health response. That means if you can do something to lend yourself to the public health, national security, F1 and M1 students with programs that are beginning August 1st or a later date can enter 30 days prior to their program. So that's kind of great that is happening. And consular post priorities, consulates are prioritizing citizen services first. Immediate relatives of US citizens like fiancés, spouses, minor children, then immigrant visas that were previously refused under the previous ban, and then non-immigrant visas where permitted. So that still is limiting how those consular posts are processing those. And maybe next week we can get well, not next week. Next week I'm not going to be having a webinar, but the week after we can invite back the resource in Mexico to find out how this is affecting bans in, you know, for consular processing in Mexico, because that may be an option, especially for a lot of people who are trying to change status to F1 student status. That is a better option than filing for the I-539 because it takes so long. Non-immigrant travel from India, all routine and visa and VAC appointments, including Dropbox, have been canceled until further notice. Consular operations still in process. The operational status varies by post. As I said, it's very pandemic related, so that it depends on the local conditions of that particular country. But if we look at the CDC map, it seems like pretty much all areas are effective. Some posts are only processing certain types of visas, and volumes may be very limited. DOS has no date for when routine visa services will be resumed, because you can't tell until you know what the state of the pandemic is. And all routine services, including for US citizens, are canceled through May 15th in Chennai, subject to extension. So biometric news, yay. There is, that's been the biggest backlog in the issuance of a lot of these EADs. So the withdrawal of the biometrics rule and the temporary suspension of biometrics appointments, which this is interesting stuff. So the USCIS announced yesterday that it'll begin a new process for rescheduling biometrics appointments. Instead of submitting a paper request by mail, applicants, petitioners, and requesters and beneficiaries may call the USCIS contact center to reschedule. So if you want to reschedule your biometrics appointments, as a lot of you have asked in the past, you can do that as long as you call the contact center. And Mac, if you can put up the YouTube link for contacting the contact center, because we did a webinar on that some time back, and this gives you a nice step-by-step process as to how to contact them and so forth. You got to establish good cause, and you've got to call before the date and time of the original appointment. If the applicant fails to call, so this is really important, before the appointment or establish a good cause, USCIS may consider the application, petition, or request abandoned, and therefore it may be denied. So that's really important, that if you can't make it to your biometrics appointment, that you follow those rules, because you don't want your application to be denied because you were late or you didn't establish a good cause. So you may ask, what establishes a good cause? Well, there's no clear set parameters of that, but let's say you're not feeling well, or perhaps you were traveling, which I don't know how you would be, but some reason during that time frame, or you can't get off from work, major meeting. There could be a number of things, especially if your biometrics jurisdiction is a little further from where you live. So I would think that those would be good causes, but because you're calling the contact center, you'll know whether that is a valid cause or not. Now, DHS withdraws the biometrics rule proposed during the Trump era, where the rule would have expanded biometrics to collecting, removing the age restriction. Remember, kids would have had to get their biometrics done. And it would have had to been not only for the applicants, but even for the petitioner. Let's say you were doing a family-based, they were trying to institute biometrics for US citizens as well. And then codified the authority to use DNA testing. So all of that from the Trump era has been moved away, which is great. The proposed biometric suspension, USCIS submitted a declaration in an ongoing litigation about H4 and L2 EAD delays. The agency stated that it intended to suspend biometrics for H4, L2s, E1s, E2s, E3s categories if it's still pending on May 17th and they haven't yet received a biometrics appointment. And any new applications received by the USCIS from May 17th through May 23rd, 2022. And guidance is expected soon on the biometrics fees and the suspension. So, that's going to be good news for everyone, because it would, really reduce the delay. Now, other notable immigration news, F1 students, the International Entrepreneur Parole Rule, which I'm really excited about, the deference policy and public input on immigration barriers. So the F1 student update, they may now apply for optional practical training online instead of a paper filing. Yay. OPT applications that were rejected on a delayed basis were given the opportunities to resubmit. Remember that. Students allowed to be in the US this fall as long as classes begin on or after August 1st, 2021. The temporary SEVP guidance is continued for 2021 school year. So students still can't enter the US to begin a program that's completely online. So remember the the guidance previously was it could be a hybrid. So some of them are online and some of them are in person. And I think at least in the United States, most of the institutions are thinking that vast majority of the programs are going to be in person. Deference for extension. In 2017, USCIS departed from the prior guidance that adjudicating officers, adjudicating extensions, that they would defer to prior determinations of eligibility for extensions. That means if you've already gotten an H-1B for the same occupation, same employer, then you should be given some deference to the fact that it was approved before. That means they shouldn't look into all the issues relating to specialty occupation and everything else because that was adjudicated before. But during the Trump era in 2017, they removed that and they said there's no deference, which means that they would review every petition as if it was brand new. So they have removed that, which is a great thing for everyone. And so the USCIS will now revert to the older guidance saying that they will give you deference if you were already approved and there's been no change in employment. So officers should start granting extension approvals more effectively and more positively on all extensions, including H-1Bs, Ls, and the like. The entrepreneur rule. So under the Obama era, the president cannot, because of the separation of powers, create a visa. Only Congress can do that. But, President Obama recognized that a lot of students wanted, they still want the US to be the center of innovation. So they instituted the International Entrepreneur Parole. Parole is something that a president can do. Can't issue a visa, but parole. Parole means what? It's not really a status, but it's an authorized stay, so you won't be out of status. So the initial entrepreneur rule was published in 2017 with the effective date of July 17th, delayed, and then it took effect December 17th, and guided US DHS in use of the parole authority to grant authorized stay on a case-by-case basis to entrepreneurs who would provide significant public benefits, help grow the economy, and like I said, bringing innovation and economic growth to the United States. So this is really exciting. So while it was never officially discontinued, the program was seen as a risk of DHS, and the Trump administration was thinking about removing the rule, and the likelihood that anyone would have been approved under the Trump administration was very low. But under the entrepreneurial role program, you can get parole up to 3 entrepreneurs per startup entity, plus spouses and children. They're only authorized to work for the startup business, and they are required to possess a substantial ownership interest. Spouses and children can apply for work authorization. Spouses can apply for work authorization, but not children. So this is great news. This is something you should spread out to your family and friends. And we will put together better now that it's back and instituted, better guidance, and maybe I'll do a YouTube video just on this. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, because this is going to be great, especially for those people who, you know, are worried about continued employment. So the DHS is seeking public comment on how the USCIS can reduce barriers that prevent US and foreign citizens from pertaining to access to immigration benefits and service, like adjustment of status, naturalization. The goal is to promote equity, reduce administrative burdens, complexities, and confusion. And the comment deadline is May 19th, 2021. So this is something that I think is, it's a great step in the right direction, because they are looking to see how they can, because there's some things that they can do within immigration, notwithstanding the barriers that we may have with getting anything congressionally passed. So I'm really excited about this. There is no, I'm on vacation next week, so there's no webinar next week, but you can still stay in touch with us, and I hope you do. You can do it through our Challa Chats forum. Here is the link for it. I'm sure my team will put it up on the chat so you can have access to it. And it's a great way, especially, you know, if you're going through the process, it's wonderful to talk to other people who are. And I know my team is always on the Challa Chats. And during my vacation, I'll probably be on the Challa Chats more. So love for you guys to join us on that. And there are various ways in which you can connect, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and like we told you, Telegram. We have different ways of communicating different messages. So connect with us. I'd love that. And share it with your friends. And if you want to see previous recordings of our webinars, please, you know, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Boom, boom. And we look forward to connecting with you through YouTube. Early summer, we're going to roll out our Facebook Live on Fridays. So if for some reason we're not able to get to a question that you ask during our webinars, all we're going to request is you share our Facebook Live invite on your Facebook page, and you will get priority. And so as we're talking live, there'll be no webinar, but I will be able to answer all your questions on a one-to-one live basis on Facebook. So as private as that can be, but it'll be a great chance for us to just talk about the immigration changes and initiatives in a conversational manner rather than a structured webinar. So like I said, I always enjoy connecting with all of you. So I look forward to that and those new initiatives. So as we said, subscribe so you can get the additional videos. If you need to ask us any questions, and we can't get to it today because today I have a hard stop at 1 o'clock, but email us at info@challalaw.com and we would love to help you. One of the happiest things that happened is there was this young woman who, unfortunately, through some issues with her petitioner restructuring their bank, had submitted an application, a petition to extend her status, and the checks didn't clear. But what the USCIS did is they accepted it, they approved it, and then they said, oh my God, your checks didn't clear, and then they rejected it. And she was a single mom, and we were all really concerned. The attorney that company was using said, I'm sorry, there's nothing that can be done. I never believe that there's nothing that can be done. I think that, you know, that's what our job is to fight for those people who have no voice. So me, and most importantly, my team, put in the request to the USCIS, outlined exactly what we thought that they did wrong, and they approved it back to the date of the original filing. So this young single mother doesn't have to depart the United States. She's in valid status, and everything was well taken care of. And that made me so happy. I mean, that's why at Challa, that's why we all do this. Not just me, but like I said, my team. It takes a village, and it takes a team to really have the same commitment as you, because I can have as much commitment as possible, but I can't work on every single petition. I've got to have some support, and I've got an amazing supportive team that has the same work ethic as I do and believes in this immigration process. So I wanted to give them a great shout out before we start with the Q&A. So let's go ahead and stop the share. And what I would ask you to do is, you know, why don't we have you raise, oh, we've got some people already raising their hands. I'm going to, for the people who raise their hands, I'm going to allow you to talk. So the first one is, I think the last name is H-O-V-E. So I'm unmuting you so you can talk. So you can ask your question. Hove, H-O-V-E, you want to unmute? Okay, while you're, okay, we're going to try the next one. Okay, Kiran Kunturu, I am going to allow you to talk if you can.
Hi Lakshmi, hi Lakshmi, can you hear me?
Yes, is this Kiran?
Yes.
Okay, Kiran, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much for giving this opportunity, and we are honored to work with you as a company and as an employee of the company. So a quick question today. I mean, like I'm on H-1B right now, and my employer is offering me a health insurance plan for me and my wife and my kid, and that was costing me like a lot of money, like, you know what, like $2,200 per month. So I can't afford that much. So what I went ahead, I asked my employer to put me out of that plan, and I went ahead to healthcare.gov and find the best plan, and then I'm paying full amount of what that price should be.
And you found the healthcare.gov was a better deal than
right.
Healthcare.
Right. So yeah, I mean, they are costing me around $2,200, but here everything is covered under $900.
Wow.
Yeah. So question here is, so being on the H-1B, I mean, I heard from few people that we should not take health insurance from healthcare.gov being on H-1B, and will it cause any issues when it comes to green card processing?
Great question. I think you're thinking about the public charge rule, and
right.
This would not, I believe, come under public charge, but Kara can send up a link as to what the, first of all, that's going to be an issue that's going to be null and void down the road. It's not really deemed to be even though it's a government-run healthcare option, it wouldn't be one that would necessarily preclude you. Now, because you're not getting it for free. It may be subsidized, but you're not getting it for free. And number two, as long as, you know, there are H-1B regulations that the employees should be offered the same benefits as other non-H-1B employees are offered. Now, as long as the company has offered that benefit to you and you have decided not to accept it, I would say for the company's sake, they should just document that for their own perspective. And like I said, I think my folks may put a link up in chat, but I don't believe that that's going to be an issue. There we go. She's put something up there right now, so I think you should be good. Thank you, Karen, and thank you for tuning in.
Thank you very much.
So next, Pavan, Hove, I think you couldn't unmute before, but Tovin Banishi. Hove, can you hello, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
So how can we help you today?
Okay, I wanted to find out on the updates regarding regarding about the public charge. So let's say if, like, for example, I don't have insurance here in the United States, but when I went to the clinic, they said you have to apply for your health insurance online, like called Connection. Is that not a public charge?
No, and in fact, I think we just, if you look in the chats, my folks just put up a link from healthcare.gov on how that's, everyone's permitted to get that. So you can look at the link she provided that would give you greater information and details based on your current status.
Okay.
Okay. And like I said,
Okay.
the link is on chat. And thank you so much for tuning in today.
Okay.
So next we have Pavan Sidamala. I'm going to unmute you. Hi, Pavan.
Hi, Challa. How are you?
Good. How are you today?
Good, good. Thank you. Well, thanks for taking my call. Well, brief of bit of overview about my case. I used to live in the US before for about 7 years, and my EB2 I-140 approved.
Mm-hmm.
While I'm in the US, I got Australian permanent residency.
Mm-hmm.
So I moved to Australia. Soon I'll get my citizenship by mid of next year. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
My date of EB2 priority date is September of 2012.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that my date would become current soon,
Mm-hmm.
in the next couple of months. So in that event, I just want to get my citizenship first. Only then I want to come back
Mm-hmm.
and find an employer on E3 visa.
Mm-hmm.
Then I want to reinstate my green card process all over because my current I-140 was revoked. So once the date becomes current, how much time one really have to come back and start the green card process all over again?
Right. Well, number one, if you have an employer that's willing to sponsor you for prospective employment, you don't have to physically be in the United States to at least even start that process. There is going to be questions about ability to pay if you're not on the payroll. And we had a session on that, a YouTube session. So I'll have my folks put that link in about issues to spot if you're not working for the employer that is sponsoring you. So that's number one. Number two, remember it's based on the visa bulletin. So the question is, if that date becomes current, as long as it doesn't retrogress, then you would be eligible to benefit from it. So it would all depend on what things are looking like next year. I know this year it's still, you know, they're stating that there's a very positive outlook for the numbers moving, but we don't know. And with bans and limited consular processing and so forth, that is foreseeable through, I would think, probably September or so, that we may have positive numbers next year too. But those are two options I would think about if you can find an employer, as long as the ability to pay things are issued. So please look at that YouTube video. Then you can even get started. That way you don't have to wait, because it's taking, you know, maybe about 1.5 years once you enter the United States to go through the PERM and then I-140 processing. But if you can get that going ahead of time, then you would be ahead of the ball, ahead of the curve.
Right. If the finding employer who will be willing to do that, it's a bit difficult in these days.
Yeah.
So
I know. I
want to come back after E3 visa, after I get citizenship and becoming E3. That will take at least 2 to 3 years. So my date becomes current, let's say this year. If I come back and file all the 140 and perm everything after 2 or 3 years, that is still be fine, right? I won't.
Yeah, it should be. I mean, I don't think that there'll be, hopefully there'll be a permanent solution to this crazy visa allocation process. But I wish you good luck, Kiran, and if there is any updates, keep in touch with us so you will know what is happening within the immigration stage, while we're going. So thank you so much for attending.
Thank you so much for taking my call.
Thank you so much for attending.
Thank you so much for taking my call.
Okay, and next, okay, we have Sumant Dan. And so I'm going to allow you to talk. Hi, Sumant.
Hey, hi. How are you?
Good. How are you today?
I'm just doing all right. So I do have a question. I mean, according to the current scenarios today, if you see there's a travel ban. I have a couple of questions on those. One is, according to my scenario, I don't have. If I travel outside of the country, I have to get my stamping done. But given the scenarios, the consulate are closed. Although the New Delhi is still processing the Dropbox, but there are some people saying they are taking the Dropbox application, but they are rejecting by saying, giving the 221G, saying that because of the president proclamation that you cannot enter, blah, blah, blah. And then they are rejecting and giving some kind of white or yellow or some slip saying that they cannot be allowed to states, although they are eligible. That is, if in that case, if I get the 221G, can I able to come to the Mexico or some other country which is allowing in-person interviews, and then attend the visa interview there, quarantine 14 days, and then come back to the States? Do you think it is all possible, or do you think it is somewhere in the blue sky?
Yeah. So Sumant, are you currently in the US or are you in India?
I'm currently in the US.
Okay. So we'll give you a link of, we had a webinar maybe about a month or a month and a half ago that talked about consular processing in Mexico. And so I think that may be something that you should, you can talk. There's an agent. I mean, there's a company that actually will help with this, that will get you the visa to Mexico, take you to the interview, help you with accommodations and everything else. So why don't you do, instead of going to India and processing there and taking that risk, why don't you do the stamping in Mexico before you
Right, but for me, I need to go as soon as possible. But the Mexico, the appointments are in somewhere in October, whereas myself, I have to go in somewhere in June. So I do have my appointment scheduled in Delhi on August 25th for the Dropbox. But but given the scenarios that they are rejecting the Dropbox, giving the 221G. If I do get the 221G, can I still come to the Mexico and attend the?
Yeah, you'd have to get from India. You'd have to get a visa to Mexico, but and you can still use that agency.
Right. I already have an appointment booked in the Mexico on October, and I'm planning to get a visitor visa on my passport for the Mexico.
Okay, good.
That way, once I go there, if everything goes well in India, that's fine. If not, I can still go and attend interview in the Mexico, right? That's what my question. Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
You can.
Okay, cool. I was under assumption that once I get the 221G under rejection of President Proclamation, I won't be allowed to attend the visa interview.
And that's odd. I haven't heard that. I know that they're limited into processing in non-immigrants, and then Kara is online, so she can, if there's anything that you have that sheds light on this, but okay, yeah, Venkatapur, third country stamping, yes, but I haven't heard that they're rejecting it based on the proclamation, nothing recently, because the presidential proclamation that I mean, first of all, it didn't apply to drop boxes, but even President Trump's didn't apply to drop boxes. Now, the travel restriction based on travel to India, is limited to, I mean, the exceptions that they have are U.S. citizens, permanent residents. I don't think non-immigrants are, I think it's only if you come under one of the exceptions that you're permitted to come back in. So, take a look at our memo on travel ban.
Right.
If you guys can share the link for that, that
Gotcha.
should probably give you some better light. But you
Gotcha.
should be able to come back, and they shouldn't, let us know if that does become a problem. You can email
Sure.
us at info@challalaw.com, and we'll
Sure,
see if we
sure.
can reach out to the consulate on your behalf.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for
Thank you. Yeah. Or I think it is something like a rumor kind of spreading around, probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'll try to get some clarity on that. And if you're on our Telegram group,
Yeah, I am.
share it on that, because
Cool.
I've just finished last week taping a immigration webinar for the Department of State through Select USA.
Gotcha.
So I'll reach out to my Department of State folks and see if they can give me some guidance on that. And
Gotcha.
I'll
Thanks.
post it in Telegram, because it's good to know that those are the rumors, and we certainly want to dispel them. But thank you so much, Sumant, for attending and asking this great question.
No problem. Thanks.
And next we will have Tufan Ali. Yes, I remember you from last week. Oops, I think, yeah. So, Mr. Ali, there we go.
Yep. Hey, Lakshmi.
Hi,
Can you hear
how are
me?
you?
I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
Good, good. I remember your name because I remember
Yes.
Creighton gave you a big shout out. So,
Yes. And he explained what is Tufan last time.
yes, exactly, exactly.
Yep. So I have some questions. So I thought I'll take you some time.
Yes.
So my EB2 priority date is 2015, February 2015. And my daughter is in now 12th grade. She'll be going to college next year. Okay. And she can be on H4 till 2025.
Right.
Now she is very interested to study medical. So can she go to medical, and suppose she does not get green card by that time? So can she continue her medical, or she has to switch to other stream?
Well, once she turns 21, she would have to change to an F1.
Right.
But you can study up till you're 21 on the H4.
Yeah, but I came to know that the H4 or F1 students, they cannot do medical in US. They cannot study medical. Is that true?
No.
It's not true, right?
No, it's not true.
Because one of my friend, he's in H-1B and his son wanted to do medical, but because he's in H4, the medical college, like after graduation, like master degree, they did not allow.
Oh, that's weird. I have not heard that is a restriction. You don't often get F1s into medical school, but if you're admitted into any school and the school can issue I-20s, and that's what you want to find out, does the school issue I-20s, then you should be able to go to medical school there.
Oh, that's great. I did not know that. So I thought, I'll clarify with you.
Sure. And that's
Thank
fantastic that she's willing to study medicine. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you again for attending, Ali.
And I have another question, if you don't mind. I have in EB2 2015 February. So is that okay if I can downgrade to EB3 to get, what do you think? Is there any chance that if I downgrade to EB3, I can get green card faster?
Yeah, I mean, you can have both. So what I would do is when you're downgrading, you want to go ahead and file as a new petition. So then you'd have your EB2 and EB3.
Okay.
And you can interfile whatever is advancing further. And if you're, we've helped a lot of people who, not all law firms are very good with the I-140 interfiling and the issues. So if you'd like our firm to talk to your employer, we'd be happy to help.
Oh, so I can keep both the things, right? EB2 and EB3.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're
I'll try to do that.
Fantastic. And I'm glad you connected again this week.
Thank you. I appreciate.
Bye-bye. So next we have BJ Prakash. Hi, BJ. How are you? I think you're going to have to unmute. There we go.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. I can. How are you?
Good. Thank you for giving me opportunity to ask you a question. Just quick for Tufan Ali, if he's still there, not all the medical school give admission to the outsider because you'll be considered as international student. Only few of the medical school.
Right. That's why you have to ask if they issue I-20s. That's the key.
Yeah.
So
So the answer to his question is when he says if the immigrant can like H1 visa or H4 visa, you can get admission to medical school. Most of the medical school they do not allow. They only allow permanent resident only. But some of the students do allow.
yeah,
Sorry,
so
some of the medical schools do allow.
some of the medical schools do allow. So you'd have to kind of confer with
The school, yeah.
schools to see if they issue I-20s. I was on the board of VCU Health Systems. So I was, you know, it's a university research medical system.
Now,
And
coming back to my, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say it's only
okay.
because they are only limited to how many a certain number of medical students per year. So a lot of them, that's probably the reason why they limit their international students. But there are some that do. So
Right,
check them
mostly
out.
it's the private school college.
Right.
They do.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I did not know
Okay.
that. So how can I know like which are the schools they
Call
support?
call the admissions office and ask them if
Okay.
they admit if they issue I-20s, if they admit.
And there's a website called AMCAS, AMCAS. Go there and it will give you the list of all the colleges that takes
Okay. Can you spell please?
AMCAS, AMCAS. CAS.
Okay.
Okay, now I'm going back to my question.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
See, this is why it's so great to be part of a community, because look at how, you know, BJ has a question, but then he was able to help Ali with his question. So that's why I like this. It's great. Thank you, BJ. So
Thank you. So
your
my question is, my son, so I applied for EB2 to EB3 downgrade last October with the EB3 data filing, based on that. My priority date is October 2012, and I'm waiting for I-40 and EAD. My kid will turn 21 age in November this year, and he is in H4. So if I do not get I-45 or I-140 approved by that time, do I need to change his H4 to F1? Is it possible like F1 will get denied because F1 is not meant for dual intent? In that case,
so yeah. So here's what I would suggest is when you filed your downgrade, did you file it as a new petition?
Yeah, new petition.
Okay, so great. Mac is already on it. He's you can calculate so don't premium your I-140.
Right. Yeah, I'm not doing that to add CSP age.
Yes, so you can add to the CSPA age. And so hopefully, the idea is once your date becomes current for either your EB2 or EB3, and you do an interfiling, then your adjustment will be locked in. So even if they age out beyond that, it's, it would lock it in once it's current, even if it retrogresses.
So his H4 visa is till November. So after November, can he still stay here in United States with I-485 pending, or do I have to switch to a F1?
Well, if the I-485 is pending, you can, because you can, even though his H4 can't be extended, if he's still eligible as an adjustee, then you don't have to automatically switch him to F1. So that may be something to think about. And what I would do is get in touch with us, I don't know, sometime late summer, and let's take a look at what the numbers are, BJ, and what the projections are. And then, we can come up with various strategies to kind of address that. One of them, anyway, if you filed in October, you've already gotten November, December, January,
6 months, yeah.
Yeah, you already gotten 6 months. So November's not going to be his hard set date. So if you reach out to us sometime in maybe end of July, early August, we can look at how the numbers are moving. We have a better sense of it. And then, one of the options is we're helping someone right now is processing their F1 in Mexico. I know that there's some appointments that are far away, but there's some, I think, that can be, it depends on what you're processing. But
we have a Canadian citizenship, but born in India. So that's
Okay.
why, yeah.
Okay, so your son is, oh, okay,
Yes, Canadian citizenship, but born in India.
right, I know. The
So,
country of birth dictates, right? But
right.
with Canadian citizenship, then that would be easy. He would be able to, you know,
But don't want to travel out because then we'll be out of status. That's the thing. Don't want to leave
Right.
the country.
Right, well, no, what I was saying was that if worse comes to worse and he has to process an F1, not
Mhm.
now, remember, he's got,
Right.
at least for right now, the additional 6 months, it may be more. And then, you know, hopefully, I know nobody, hopefully you'll have an easy RFE that you get
Mhm.
on your I-140, because that would be great because that'll extend the processing time even more. And, you know, you'll have all the CSPA time within your filing. And so you can make an assessment as to how the numbers are moving by that time. And if at any reason, you know, he's going to age out, you know, having him go to Canada, process an F1 and re-enter would be something that you could do. But until, you know, his CSPA date is valid, and, you know, like I said, it only has to become current, and then it locks it in. So even if it retrogresses, so then he wouldn't have to worry about, you know, processing an F1 at all.
So somebody said my I-140 has to be approved before he age out, like when he turns 21. Is that true, or is if my I-140 is still pending, that's still okay? That will lock his age.
Right. So in order, the CSPA is only the dates that are locked in before the child turns 21.
Right.
So that's the period. So,
but do I need to have my I-140 approved by that time or no?
Well, it would only be the calculation for the time that it's been pending, you know, and it should be approved by November. I wouldn't think that it would be pending up to November. I don't think it'll take that long.
So I do not have to turn to premium in October before November he's age out?
What I would do is, like I said, contact us in August.
Okay.
And then let's take a look at everything. And because I always think that you should never look at a problem or an issue, you know, just in a silo. You should look at it holistically and figure out the best strategy going forward.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, BJ, for tuning in.
Thank you.
And we have time for one last question because I do have to stop at 12. So I'm going to ask Prem to ask his question.
Hey, Lakshmiji, thanks.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. So
Fantastic.
yeah, my question is same again. I think like with we are saying that this year we are going to waste definitely so many visas for EB spillovers. Do you see any hope for those who filed in October?
Yeah, I mean, they are saying that they're going to try really hard. And because the COVID, you know, instances are less in the United States, I think they will start hiring more people at the USCIS offices, and nobody wants those visas to go wasted. So I think you'll see rapid movement. I don't think we will really know until the summer to get a really good grasp on what's going on. But I know that the intent is for everyone to make sure that none of those numbers are wasted, because everybody recognizes that, you know, this is a very sacred thing that you all have right now. So fingers crossed.
Hopefully.
Thank you, Prem, for your question. Thank you all for attending, and I look forward. Remember, I'm not going to be here next week, but I will be here the week after, and we probably will have tons of immigration updates at that time. Make sure, if you haven't joined our Telegram group, we're going to be posting some of the resources that we talked about today on that group. And while I'm on vacation, I'll be able to chat with you through Telegram, even though I won't have the webinar. Please share this. If you found this information helpful, I would really appreciate it. My team works really hard on putting this together, and it would be great value to us if you could spread the word and tell your friends about how, you found this helpful. And I look forward to seeing you again in 2 weeks and hopefully have some continued good news for you. So thank you all. Thank you for attending. Thank you, my team. And I will see you in 2 weeks. Bye.